answer right here. This is a question on the point that you had raised on the unconventional monetary policies and how they should be tackled because of the impact. The final declaration, clause 14, seems to suggest that central banks across the world in the advanced economies will continue to be dictated by domestic consideration, including price stability. Was your point of view, therefore, a point that found resonance within the G20? What can we expect as far as the rollback of tapering is concerned, sir?
Well, there was quite separate appreciation of the point that I made about the unintended consequences of unorthodox monetary policies being pursued by countries like the United States and the Eurozone. But I also pointed out in my own speech that I don't see immediate concrete action because central banks are the creation of their domestic legislation. Some value their independence, some also have a limited mandate. But overall, there was general appreciation that when it comes to consultations on global economic policies, macroeconomic policies, for example, in the mutual assistance, mutual development process, the countries should be discussing how monetary policies are being shaped, what are the concerns, and how we can soften the impact on other countries. So I would say that as a general idea, there was a widespread appreciation, and in fact, most developing countries' leaders made the same point that I made, and I expect that as an essay in persuasion, it's a good idea, and good ideas are scarce in the world, and I do believe that sooner or later it will catch attention.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Dr. Bharat Agarwal from Dainik Bhaskar. I need to know, sir, how we are going to benefit, that is Indian economy and markets, from your forthcoming visits to United States, Asia, Russia and China.
Well, I have important visits lined up later this month to the United States, then next month to Russia, and there are also visits planned to ASEAN. Now, all these countries, and then to China. All these countries are important trading partners, and therefore, whatever we may do in these meetings, they create a climate conducive to accelerating the processes of cooperation. And I therefore sincerely hope that my discussions in Washington, in Russia, in China, in Brunei would certainly help to create at the margin a better environment for cooperation between us and these countries in matters relating to trade, in matters relating to investment. And certainly I think the visit to the United States, if we do the right things before going there, they will have influence on the climate for capital flows from the United States to our country.
So, Sudhakar Nair from PGI. Exactly 3 weeks from now, you will be in New York for the UNGA. The possibility of a meeting with your Pakistan counterpart has been a matter of intense speculation. So, what do you think are the prospects of such a meeting taking place, especially since there is a view in India that we should avoid meeting Mr. Sharif? Thank you.
Well, I have always maintained that We can choose our friends, but we have no choice with regard to our neighbors. And therefore, under normal conditions, I would be happy to meet with Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, whom I respect, who has said the right things about how relations between our two countries should evolve. But there are certain harsh realities on the ground. If the terror acts do not stop, if those who voice the terrorist thoughts move about freely, if there is no significant progress in bringing the culprits of Bombay massacre to book, that I have to factor in before arriving at the final decisions.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. This is Gautam Lahiri from Sambad Prasidhi. My question relates to one recent killing of a women writer in Afghanistan. Do you think that this killing is once again, proves that Taliban is again raising hate, particularly killing a women writer? And how Taliban, Afghanistan forces have not been able to contain these forces? So I wonder your reaction on both these issues.
Well, I was very sad when I heard about the attack and killing of Sushmita Banerjee. It's a very sad development. She was living in Afghanistan for a long number of years, and she was engaged in important social work. So I feel very sad that such a noble person should have been the victim of the Taliban's wrath. Well, obviously, Afghanistan still is plagued by the Taliban menace, and the government and people of Afghanistan ultimately will have to make up their minds whether the Taliban philosophy of, particularly with regard to the role of women in society, is the thing which should decide their approach to life.
Prime Minister, you have charged the chief opposition of obstructing Parliament and thereby hurting the Indian economy. But do you believe that you yourself have sufficiently answered the many questions that the opposition has raised about your government and about you in person?
Well, I have tried to answer all questions that have been raised, and I have no desire to hide anything from Parliament, whether it is coal matter or other matters, and I have been as forthright as I can. I had made a long statement on the coal factors in previous session of Parliament. I was not allowed to read that statement, but I did issue that statement. It is a public document. So I am an open book.
Sir, I am Sanjay Ganguly from Vartaman newspaper, Kolkata. I want a political question. Will you go to the sofa in alliance with Mamata Banerjee in forthcoming parliament election 2014? Alliance with Mamata Banerjee, Trinamool Congress?
Well, in politics, there are no permanent enemies and permanent friends. And in many ways, a week in politics is sometimes an unusually long period of time. So I don't rule out, for example, the alliances. Mamata Banerjee was a very respectable member of the Congress party at one time. As a leader of the Trinamool also, we were very happy to have him in our government. We would very much like-minded, secular-minded persons should work again to give our country polity a thrust in favor of secular elements.
Last two questions.
Mr. Prime Minister, coming back to domestic issues, and as you were saying on the coal, before you left for Russia, you had told in Parliament that you command respect. While you did command that respect, your personal image has taken a beating because you're on your last legs of your last tenure and in the second term. Does this mean that you will still look at politically for you to continue for a second term, for a third term? Because we in the Congress party would like to see Rahul Gandhi lead the campaign. And then the other issue is that since you say you are an open book, why don't you go ahead and say I'm ready for any questioning like you did with the 2G?
I said I have not prevented anybody at looking at my conduct. And as far as your first question is concerned, I have always maintained that Rahul Gandhi would be an ideal choice for the Prime Minister's position after the 2014 election. I would be very happy to work for the Congress party under the leadership of Mr. Rahul Gandhi.
Last question.
Sir, Praveen here from Lokmat Group. Whether central government is going to consider separate rhythm or division of Maharashtra with Telangana issues?
There is no such proposal under consideration.